Welcome to True Crime Threads. Today, a wife discovers a box of photos that reveals her husband's dark secret. Rachel Simmons lived a quiet life with her husband, Marcus, in a suburban neighborhood. Their home was an idyllic, white picket fence dream, masking the secrets hidden within its walls. One afternoon, while organizing the attic, Rachel stumbled upon an old, dusty box tucked behind a stack of forgotten holiday decorations. She had ventured into the attic with plans to declutter, but the sight of the mysterious box piqued her curiosity and derailed her original mission. It was unlike anything Rachel had seen in their home, its surface weathered, the corners bound with heavy tape, and a strange weight to it when she lifted it carefully. The box didn't match the rest of their stored belongings. Everything else had been neatly labeled seasonal decor, old books, and childhood mementos, yet this box was unmarked, hidden deliberately. Intrigued, Rachel placed it on the attic floor, her fingers trembling slightly as she peeled away the layers of tape. A faint, musty smell escaped as the lid came loose, revealing its strange contents. Inside were dozens of Polaroid photos, neatly stacked but yellowed with age. The images depicted women, each one different from the next. Some appeared happy, smiling brightly as if posing for the camera, while others seemed caught off guard, their faces showing unease or confusion. The lighting and backgrounds varied: a park bench, a cafe, a street corner, but what struck Rachel most was the expression in their eyes. It felt as though each one was silently pleading for help, as if the photo captured a moment more significant than it appeared. Rachel's initial thought was that these might be old photos from Marcus's past. Perhaps they were his friends, co-workers, or even relatives she'd never met. Yet, as she shuffled through them, the sheer number unsettled her. The women bore no resemblance to anyone Marcus had ever mentioned, and their unfamiliarity gnawed at her. Why would he keep something like this hidden? At the bottom of the box, beneath the photos, Rachel found a small notebook. Its cover was faded and brittle, as though it had been handled countless times. Flipping it open, she saw rows of dates and locations meticulously recorded in Marcus's familiar handwriting. Each entry was brief but specific: park bench, 8:30 p.m. corner of Maple and 7th, coffee shop, 3 p.m. It was impossible to ignore the ominous pattern emerging from these details. Rachel's unease deepened as her mind raced. Who were these women? Were they connected to Marcus somehow, or was there a darker explanation? Her hands trembled as she packed everything back into the box, her heart pounding with the weight of what she had uncovered. Something was deeply wrong. Rachel couldn't shake the ominous feeling the photos gave her. The images of the women, their haunting expressions, and the cryptic notes in the notebook lingered in her mind. That evening, while Marcus was at work, she decided to look closer at what she had uncovered. She spread the photos out on the dining room table, examining each one in detail. The women varied in age and appearance, but there was a strange, unspoken connection between them. Something about their faces suggested they had all been caught in moments of vulnerability. Her gaze returned to the notebook. The list of dates and locations seemed mundane at first glance, but the meticulousness of the entries hinted at a deeper significance. Why would someone record such specific details for so many years? Rachel began typing the names and locations into her laptop, searching for any clues that might explain the unsettling collection. The results were chilling. Several names matched missing persons cases from nearby towns, and each case followed a disturbingly similar pattern. The women had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind few clues for authorities to follow. Rachel's stomach churned as she read through the articles, piecing together the stories of these women. The dates from the notebook matched the approximate time frames when some of them had vanished. A sinking realization began to take hold. The photos weren't harmless mementos or old keepsakes. They were something far more sinister. Each image seemed to document a woman shortly before she disappeared, a frozen moment in time that suggested someone had been watching them closely. The idea made Rachel's skin crawl. She tried to convince herself there might be another explanation. Maybe the photos in the notebook weren't Marcus's. Perhaps they had belonged to someone else, and he'd found them by accident. But the more she thought about it, the less sense that made. The notebook was in Marcus's handwriting, and the box had clearly been hidden in their attic for years. Her mind raced back to moments with Marcus that now felt suspicious in hindsight. His occasional late nights, his reluctance to let her organize certain parts of the house, and the way he had always seemed to avoid conversations about his past. She realized she had never questioned these things before, dismissing them as quirks or harmless habits. Now, she wasn't so sure. Rachel's hands trembled as she gathered the photos and notebook and tucked them back into the box. She sat in silence, overwhelmed by the weight of her discovery. Her world, once so normal and predictable, had been upended. Deep down, she knew she couldn't ignore what she had found, but the question of what to do next loomed large and terrifying. The following day, Rachel decided she couldn't leave her discovery unresolved. The box and its contents were too disturbing to ignore, and the questions swirling in her mind demanded answers. When Marcus left for work, she began searching the house for anything else that might shed light on what she had found. She opened drawers, rifled through cabinets, and scanned every nook and cranny, looking for anything that seemed out of place. Hours passed before she found something, a small, locked drawer in Marcus's home office. It was the only drawer in the desk that required a key, one she'd never seen him use in all the time they had lived together. Her heart raced as she inspected it. Determined to open it, she rummaged through his belongings and eventually found a small key hidden at the back of a closet shelf. The drawer creaked open, revealing a single, innocuous item, a key on a plain metal ring. There was nothing to identify what it belonged to, but Rachel felt a sinking certainty that it was significant. She stared at the key for several moments, debating whether she should investigate further. The thought of uncovering more was terrifying, but the urge to know the truth overpowered her fear. Later that afternoon, Rachel noticed a tag on the key inscribed with a series of numbers. A quick online search revealed that the numbers matched a local storage facility. Her stomach churned at the implications. Why would Marcus have a storage unit she didn't know about? What could he possibly be keeping there? The discovery left her no choice. She needed to see it for herself. After mustering her courage, Rachel drove to the facility. She handed the key to the attendant and gave the storage unit number, praying her suspicion was wrong. The door rolled up with a metallic clang, revealing the darkened interior of the unit. At first glance, it appeared ordinary cardboard boxes stacked neatly, a few plastic storage bins, and a couple of items covered with tarps. But as she stepped inside, her unease grew. Rachel opened the first box she saw, and her blood ran cold. Inside were personal items: a scarf, a necklace, a pair of sunglasses. The more she looked, the clearer it became that these weren't random belongings. They were intimate objects that once belonged to someone else. Each item seemed to match the women in the Polaroid photos. Her hands shook as she moved from box to box, uncovering more evidence. Hairbrushes, handwritten notes, even a pair of shoes, all arranged with chilling precision. It was as if Marcus had been cataloging the lives of these women. The storage unit was not just a space for old belongings, it was a shrine to his secrets. Rachel's discovery was interrupted by her phone vibrating. A text from Marcus appeared on the screen. "On my way home. Hope you didn't find anything interesting today." The words sent a jolt of terror through her. He knew. Somehow he knew. She fled the storage unit, her mind spinning with the horrifying implications of what she had just uncovered. Rachel knew she had to act fast. The chilling text from Marcus left her with little time and even less room for error. As she raced home from the storage unit, her thoughts were a whirlwind of fear and determination. She had uncovered too much to stay silent, but she also knew confronting Marcus directly could be dangerous. The evidence in the storage unit was overwhelming, and now her own safety was at risk. When she got home, she locked the doors and quickly retrieved the box from the attic. Every photo, every note in the notebook, and the horrifying items she had seen at the storage unit pointed to Marcus living a double life. She placed everything in a bag, ready to hand it over to the police. As she packed, her mind replayed every moment from the last few days. The once comfortable life she had shared with her husband now felt like an elaborate facade, designed to conceal something dark and monstrous. Rachel called the police, her voice shaking as she described what she had found. The dispatcher's tone grew serious as Rachel provided details, and she was told to leave the house immediately. Officers would meet her at a nearby safe location, but Rachel hesitated. She didn't know how close Marcus might be, and every second spent leaving the house felt like one where she might encounter him. As she moved toward the door, she heard the unmistakable sound of Marcus's car pulling into the driveway. Her heart stopped. He was home earlier than she had expected. Panic set in as she quickly stashed the bag in a hidden spot, grabbed her phone, and tried to compose herself. She had to act normal, at least for now, until help arrived. Marcus walked through the door, his usual calm demeanor masking something unsettling. He glanced at her with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Rachel could feel his gaze lingering, as if he were assessing her every move. She forced herself to act casual, making small talk and pretending nothing was out of the ordinary, even as her heart pounded in her chest. The minutes felt like hours. Every sound in the house seemed amplified, every creak of the floorboards an omen. Then came the knock at the door. Rachel's stomach churned as Marcus walked toward it, his expression darkening slightly. When he opened the door, the sight of two uniformed officers greeted him. Marcus's expression shifted instantly from calm to cold. As the officers informed him that he was being taken in for questioning, Rachel stayed in the background, barely breathing. Marcus turned to look at her as they placed handcuffs around his wrists. His eyes locked on hers, and a slow, sinister smile spread across his face. It was a look she would never forget, one that would haunt her long after he was gone. The investigation that followed Marcus's arrest revealed a web of chilling secrets far beyond anything Rachel had imagined. The evidence she had uncovered, the Polaroid photos, the notebook, and the personal belongings in the storage unit painted a grim picture of Marcus's hidden life. Detectives worked tirelessly to connect the dots, and what they found was both horrifying and deeply disturbing. The photos were not just random images of strangers, they were part of a systematic pattern of stalking. Marcus had been watching these women for years, carefully documenting their routines and movements. The notes in the notebook served as a twisted log of his observations, chronicling the times and places he had followed them. Investigators determined that the dates often coincided with when the women went missing, adding a new layer of terror to the case. As the case unfolded, Rachel learned that Marcus hadn't acted alone. Another man, identified as a close friend of Marcus, was also implicated. The two had shared a dark obsession, enabling each other in their heinous acts. The second man's involvement came to light when detectives discovered his fingerprints on items in the storage unit and traced phone records showing frequent communication between the two. Together they had formed a pact, feeding off each other's depraved fantasies and carrying out their crimes with chilling precision. The belongings found in the storage unit were identified as keepsakes taken from the victims, trophies of their crimes. Each item was linked to one of the missing women, serving as a grim reminder of lives cut short. The victims' families, who had spent years searching for answers, were finally given some closure, though the revelations were devastating. Rachel's world was shattered. The man she had trusted, the person she had shared her life with, was unrecognizable. The memories of their marriage now felt tainted, every moment of happiness overshadowed by the darkness she had uncovered. She struggled with guilt, questioning how she had failed to see the signs. But the detectives assured her that Marcus had been skilled at deception, crafting an image of himself that was completely at odds with his true nature. The trial that followed gripped the nation. Marcus and his accomplice were charged with multiple counts of stalking, abduction, and murder. The evidence against them was overwhelming, and they were both convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Rachel's courage in exposing the truth was hailed as heroic, but her life would never be the same. She moved away from the house, unable to live in a place so haunted by memories of betrayal. The story became a chilling reminder to the public that evil often hides in plain sight, concealed behind the facade of normalcy. Rachel would carry the scars of her discovery forever, but she found solace in knowing that her actions had brought justice to the victims and their families.